Cooking Crave, brought to you by ENG Lending, your area's #1 choice for home loans. 456loan.com.
Coming up on today's Cooking Crave, we have a stir fry that we're going to make in the air fryer. That's all coming your way next. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Rhonda Fitterer.
And I'm Laverne Dede.
And we found a recipe, I say we, the royal we, you, found a chicken stir fry recipe that we're going to make in an air fryer.
Yes.
So we're going to maybe do a little bit more of that because air fryers are very popular and a lot more healthy than deep frying.
Right. And it's just coming up with those good recipes. But, I mean, those air fryers do everything. They bake and they
can do it all.
Yeah, they do. So.
And we're going to pair that with maybe not quite so healthy thing, but fresh crumble bars, peach bars.
Right. Yes.
So if you want to cook along with us today, just grab a piece of paper and a pen and write down these ingredients. For this chicken stir fry, you're going to need a pound of chicken breast, red bell pepper, a yellow bell pepper, and an orange bell pepper, 2 carrots, a half a cup of stir fry sauce, and a head of broccoli, and a teaspoon of sesame seeds.
That's right. Yep.
So not too many ingredients there. That'll be great. And then for the peach crumb bars, you're going to need, now this is going to be like the crust part, a cup of sugar, 3 cups of flour, a teaspoon of baking powder, half teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, a cup of butter, and a large egg. And then for the peach layer, you're going to need a half a cup of sugar, a tablespoon of cornstarch, a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, about 5 large peaches.
Yeah.
Don't put pieces in there. Pizzas. That
Yep,
would be
yep.
bad. 5 large peaches, 1 teaspoon of lemon juice. And then for the icing on top, we're going to have a cup of powdered sugar, a 1/4 teaspoon of almond extract, and then a tablespoon of milk.
That's right.
All right. Where do you
gonna
want
be
to get
great.
started?
We're going to start with the bars because we want to get them in the oven to get baking because the stir fry takes about 20 minutes, so it's not very long that you
Okay.
in the air fryer. So I'll have you spray our pan here.
Okay.
And what I did, I mean, it says 5 large peaches diced. And for them ingredients there, it says a teaspoon of lemon juice. And I did put that lemon juice on these peaches already when I cut them up so that they don't, discolor so much. So for the peaches, I got those here. And I'm going to add, it's a cup of sugar. Excuse me, this one is only a half a cup of sugar, a tablespoon of cornstarch, and some cinnamon.
Okay.
And we're going to just mix that in with our peaches right now here.
Okay. And that cornstarch just is going to serve as a thickening agent, correct?
Correct,
Okay.
yes.
Probably help it set up a little bit so it's not quite so runny.
Right,
Juicy?
it will, because, peaches, they do get juicy when they're cut, and then you add sugar, and they do. So we'll just set that aside here.
Okay.
And we've got our pan there sprayed. I'm actually going to start with a little bit bigger bowl. I put my flour, what does it say, 3 cups of flour.
Yes.
And some baking powder.
A teaspoon of baking powder, sugar,
And the cup of sugar.
and a half a teaspoon of salt,
And that.
and then cinnamon.
Cinnamon.
Okay.
So all these ingredients are in this bowl already. So
Okay.
we just mix that up, and then we're going to add one. It's a cup, or it's actually 2 sticks of cut up butter, and you want them. I made smaller pieces and making it cold so that when you do cut that in here, that's the preferred way to do that.
Okay.
So,
You definitely don't want to have melted butter or softened butter.
the recipe says, just to use your cold butter, and you're going to mix it like this. And we just want to get that crumbly. We don't want it blended, and that's what you would get if you melted the butter. It wouldn't have that crumbly consistent. It would be more like a doughy crust. So,
Okay.
So just take your pastry cutter and work that in there.
You're trying to use a pastry cutter, but you know we all know you're gonna switch to your hands.
Oh, you think so? Okay. So while I'm mixing that, the last thing we're going to add to this is an egg.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just, a large egg, just break it in this bowl here. And oh, I did get a little piece of shell there, which is
Why you do it.
That's why we do it. I'll get a little teaspoon here. Okay. And I'll put that shell here. And I'm actually just going to have you blend up that egg a little bit. We just want that egg beaten up a little bit there. Okay, so that's starting to blend in here, and if I remember correctly, I think in the instructions we're going to put about 2/3 of the flour mixture on the bottom.
Okay.
And and we're going to save a little bit to put on top for the crust.
We're going to add the egg and then a little more than half of the dough in the
In there.
pan.
Yeah. So we'll get that.
So if our viewers can see this, you know, it is
Yeah.
getting crumbly and it's not incorporating, like you said, and making a dough.
That's correct.
And how long do you say we work this? You know, just a few minutes?
Yes, it's just till your butter gets, it's starting to form that crumbly mixture.
Okay.
And so that's not going to be.
And then we have to add
Yeah.
the egg to that then.
Then we just add the egg and mix that up a little bit. Yeah. Okay, most of that butter is just all mixed in there. And you know what? Like you said, I think I'm going to just go ahead and mix that a little bit more. And it's always easier with the hands. So if you don't have a pastry cutter, don't go out and buy one just because the recipe says cut the butter
Right.
in with a pastry cutter. We got our hands and that works just fine.
Just kind of crumble it up in there and
Yeah.
let's make sure you don't have any of the big chunks left, right?
Yeah, correct. So it was just easy to mix all this together, the sugar powder, baking powder, salt,
Yes.
a little bit of cinnamon,
A little bit of sugar, yep.
and the sugar. Okay, so we have that, and I'm going to add the egg to that. You know, one thing our viewers can't see or tell, we sure picked an awesome day for this because it's raining out.
It is.
Isn't that great? We're blessed with some nice rain.
It kind of makes you want to, it kind of feels like baking weather.
It is. That's when you want to have that oven on and do that baking. So we want to just incorporate this egg into here.
Okay.
And you're going to get it just a little bit of more of a crumbly texture, and then we're going to put that in the pan for the crust, about half of it.
Yeah.
A little over half. See, now that pretty much is getting all that.
It does say that you can process it in a food processor, so if you're not comfortable doing it with your hand or a pastry knife, you can certainly put that in a food processor too.
Absolutely. The only thing with a food processor, you know, you want to make sure, because it only takes a very few pulses to make that, and so you don't want to get it like too much of a paste, like dough.
Right.
So, but it probably would go a little faster. And then this looks pretty good. I'm gonna just get a butter knife here and clean off my hands.
So it's saying just a little bit more than half. So like you said, I think earlier, maybe like 2/3 of it.
Right. And we have, like I said, we have the oven on at 350. And what was the amount of time did it say that we're gonna bake it?
If we're using a glass pan at 350, and we're gonna bake this for almost an hour, about 50 to 55 minutes.
Okay. I put it in a big bowl, and I still get that some on the side.
It happens.
Okay, so let's just, okay, I think that's plenty there. Let's see, we might, no, I don't think we need to put anything back. And we're just going to pat that down.
All right.
And I was looking at this too because it does, there's quite a bit of crust to it. And you know that 5 cups of peaches, I think not a regular jelly roll pan, but I think that next size, that cookie sheet that in a little smaller one, that it would, your bars just wouldn't maybe be that thick, but I think this would be great for that size of a pan too, just because of the quantity that we have. So now we're going to put our peaches on top here. And okay, so we'll just spread that out.
And then we're going to add the remaining crumble on top and that'll be a nice crunch on top.
It will. So like I said, we can see the thickness of this, and I really, like I said, do feel that could go into that little smaller jelly roll pan too. So
Okay.
yeah, now we'll just put this on top here and just spread that out.
Now this looks like something that's, great dessert and something not too difficult to make that you can certainly take for a potluck too.
Oh, it would. And when you got that season in for those fresh peaches, you just want to be able to make as much as you possibly can, because it doesn't take long, and then pretty soon that season is over with, and we can't get that anymore.
Right.
So let's put this in the oven.
Okay.
All right, and you said 50 minutes?
50 to 55.
Okay, we'll start at the 50 minutes there. So we're going to...
Finding the right mortgage company can be a little puzzling. At ENG Lending, we make it easy by finding the right program that fits perfectly. From VA loans for our veterans to first-time home buyers, refinancing and debt consolidation. Piece by piece, we pay close attention to every detail so that every piece of the puzzle falls right into place. ENG Lending. It all comes together.
Call 456-LOAN right now.
Now we're back over to the counter here after I got my hands washed with all of that peach crust on my hands, right? Okay, now we're going to put the stir fry together, and we're going to put it in the air fryer.
Okay.
And the air fryer, the recipe does say put it on air roast. So that's what I did, and we've got that preheating and that. So the biggest thing with this, it's so quickly to assemble right now because I have everything prepped. We take about a pound of chicken, and you want to cut those in pieces. And this does not need to be, you don't cook your chicken prior like we did some other recipes.
Okay.
And that. So then we have 2 thinly sliced carrots, and then we have our red pepper, yellow, and orange orange pepper. So those are all sliced pretty thin. So like I said, we have the chicken prepared, the vegetables ready to go. So it looks like it's going to be so quick to put together. And there's also broccoli with this, but we're not going to put the broccoli in right away. That is only going to be put in about 10 to 15 minutes after this has been on air roast. And then we'll add that for about another 10 minutes.
Okay.
And put it back in. So,
All right.
so I'm going to just, it says like a half a cup of stir fry. Well, you know, hey,
You're going to use it all.
I am. There's just a little bit there. This is a 2/3 cup, so it's a, you know, so I don't need to have that completely full. So now if this was ketchup, I'd put a little water in and rinse it out. But we don't want that extra moisture on for the stir fry. So just using the stir fry sauce is the only seasoning you're going to be using for this.
Okay.
So we have that. So we just want to mix that well, get everything coated there with that stir fry sauce.
Oh, perfect. You lost a pepper.
Pepper, yeah. And when you dice up chicken, and if you have it diced and you have it in the refrigerator, you know, if you have it overnight or you're just doing it before, you know, your chicken has quite a bit of, I mean, it's got juice to it. And that's why I put it in a strainer and just let that, so the extra juice from the chicken drains off too, so.
Sure.
And then we're just gonna arrange this evenly on our tray there. You know, and I'm getting a little bit more accustomed to working with the air fryer and finding out that there are certain things, I mean, you know, made some chicken strips the other night, you know, they were frozen, but it really crisped up the outside and the inside, you know, was done, but it was still more tender than if you even bake them in the oven.
Okay.
That was my feeling with that, so. Sometimes we think it's another gadget, which is true, but they're always fun.
Well, you know, and it works great in the summertime that you're not actually heating up the house if you want to make a quick meal like this. Instead of heating up the oven, you know, the air fryer is not putting out quite as much heat.
Right, and depending upon what kind of air fryer you do have, they will also bake. In fact, in this one, it does have a baking on there, and I did bake some, they were just the Pillsbury rolls, but you know, I put that in, and they did it. It was an awesome job. It baked those rolls just like normal, and I didn't have to heat up the whole house. So, and I am using excuse me, I get my washcloth here, the tray underneath it just to catch any liquid, because, you know, otherwise, if it hits the burners on there, it would smoke more. So, okay, so we're just gonna open this up here and add this to that. And it says to go about 10 to 12 minutes because that's quite a bit there. I want to
Yes.
make sure that, you know, it's going to be done. Then in the about 5, 6, 7 minutes, I'm going to take it and just turn it around.
Okay.
Just because we're on air broil, it's not the air fryer that you're getting all over. And then the last 5, 6 minutes, we just put the broccoli in.
Perfect.
So that's as easy as it is to make a stir fry.
Awesome. I
You
can't
know?
wait to try it.
It is, you know, prep is going to be the biggest thing, but it's going to be well worth it.
All right.
And while we're waiting for our bars to bake, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to get the milk out, and we're just going to mix up our glaze so that when the frosting, or actually the bars are done, we're ready to put that frosting on. So it says about just a fourth 4th teaspoon of almond flavoring.
Yes.
Okay. And again there. And
About a tablespoon of milk.
but then that's probably where all we want to start with, because we can easily make it too thin. So let's, because you can always add.
It just doesn't seem like it's possible that condenses that powdered sugar down like that, but it sure does.
It does, yes. I will need a little bit more, I see here. It says 1 cup of powdered sugar, and I was emptying out my container, and I think that container had about 1 1/4, so it was like in there. Who doesn't like a little extra frosting on those bars?
Sure.
So I'm going to just add a little bit more milk, and we'll set that aside, and that'll be ready then for our bars to glaze as soon as they're out and our stir fry is done.
Perfect.
As easy as that.
All right.
Country Rose Cafe on East Villard is open for breakfast and lunch 7 days a week. Enjoy daily homemade specials, caramel and cinnamon rolls, several different kinds of homemade pies made fresh every day. Country Rose Cafe is also famous for homemade soup, including their ever-popular Nefla served every Tuesday. While you're in, make sure to pick up your Channel 18 Cooking Crave recipes and like us on Facebook for different specials and announcements. Country Rose Cafe, the way a cafe should be, located at 837 East Villard in Dickinson.
We did turn the stir fry around once already, so this has been in a little, about 10 minutes or 12 minutes. So we're going to take that out, and we're going to add the broccoli to that now, and then put it back in the air fryer for another about 8 to 10 minutes.
Okay.
So we're just going to pull this out, and oh, you can really smell that stir fry. That looks
yeah.
pretty good. So one thing you're always wanting to make sure is that you have your chicken well done. The vegetables, you know, you do want to kind of a little bit crisp anyway, but you want to make sure your chicken is done.
Right.
And I did add, you know, with the chicken, I cut it in fairly small pieces. So we're going to just kind of layer the broccoli in there. And this here, then, you know, when we serve, we can garnish that with some sesame seeds. You certainly can have, you know, rice or something like that
Sure.
for the side, or even chow mein noodles if you like that little extra crunch. So
Sure.
we're going to put that back in there. So that tray works really, really nice. So there we go. And so we're going to get that about another 8 to 10 minutes. And then our peach dessert should be ready done.
All right.
And before, when I was trying to say what size pan, I just couldn't remember the. So I actually went to the cupboard and got one. So this is a little bit smaller than, you know, your larger jelly roll pan. Excuse me, jelly roll pan. And this actually is a 10 by 12.
Okay.
So a little bit more, and I think, you know, that would be a nice size to do those bars, because it was pretty thick with that crust.
Okay.
So,
Good tip.
Yes. And our frosting, glaze, we made that enough so that we can drizzle over, because we're not going to frost the bars, we're going to drizzle. So our timer is going off for our peach bars. So we're going to check them and be able to take them out. Okay. Oh, the crust looks nice and brown, and it's nice and brown on top. So that 40 minutes that I put this in for looks like it's going to be just about the right
Okay.
time. So, and our stir fry is going to be done here in just a couple of minutes. So we're going to be able to take that out. Now, when I made the glaze, I kind of made it so I can drizzle it.
Okay.
The thing, and normally I probably wait just a few minutes 10 minutes for it to cool off, but of course we're not going to do that. With drizzling, you know, I think what would be nice if you had like a little pastry thing that you could just make some nice even frosted glaze there, or it's going to taste just as good if it isn't uniform.
It's going to be completely fine.
It's going to be completely fine. So we're just going to go ahead and drizzle that along in here. And like I said, you're not going to be able to frost something like this because of the crumbs, you know, the crust
Right.
that we have. And I think when you're doing, if you had a pastry sheet, which, can you believe I don't have that?
Well, probably not for long.
Probably not for, but like I said, that was just something that I was thinking about. I thought that
You
would
could
be
certainly take a little sandwich
Oh.
bag and cut off the corner and do that too.
That's correct. I never even gave that a thought. I should have mentioned that sooner, and we could have done that.
But then you'd waste frosting because they'd be in the bag.
Oh, okay. That's
It doesn't need to be perfect.
no, it doesn't. It has to just be good, and we know that it's going to be good. And like I said, when you can have that fresh peach season, you can. I mean, that's. But peaches has always been one of my favorites. So I'm going to set that aside, and it looks like that's going to be completed there.
Okay.
And so I'm going to just turn that off because I do know that that is done. So we're going to take that out. Oh, now that's healthy.
That is, absolutely.
You know, we're going to just kind of stir that a little bit. And I think I failed to mention, but the recipe says like a broccoli head, you know, and I didn't take a real large one, but just, you know, a nice sized broccoli head is the quantity that you want
Right.
for that.
Absolutely.
So that looks really good.
Looks good enough to eat.
It does. So we're going to feature some in that. And being we just took that out, it might be kind of hard to cut that and, you know, to feature a piece, which would have been nice. But our viewers can just see how good it really
Absolutely.
is going to be good. It's just going to make them want to make it to be able to cut a piece and see what it looks like, right?
Right, absolutely.
Okay, so I'm going to just put some of this on our plate here. Okay, and like we talked about, if you certainly want to be able to serve rice or something else with that, you sure can. Mm-hmm. And I have sesame seeds, so we're just going to garnish some sesames on top of that.
All right.
Okay, so I will let you hold that. And we'll definitely need the mitts
Yes.
to hold our peach bars here.
Yes. We'll see if I
So-
can talk fast so it doesn't burn through.
That sounds good. I think it's just because you want to get to it faster.
That could be too. If you want to make these recipes, just go to consolidatednd.com to get these recipes. Submit your recipes for the rest of the viewing audience and get your name into the drawing for a Cooking Crave apron. Always nice to have. And thank you to our sponsors. Join us next week when we do it all over again here on Cooking Crave.